Hey everybody, Jason here from Ghostbusters News, and today I've got something pretty cool to show you. But first, I want to provide a quick heads up, as pre-orders for Mondo's The Real Ghostbusters Winston and Sandman Collector's Pack, they close this Thursday, July 17th at 11:59 a.m. Central, meaning this is the final countdown for those who want to guarantee that Sandman figure and all his ghostly accessories. And given that we are now talking about that Sandman figure, that's what I've got to show you here today, a bit of a sneak peek. As the fine folks over at Mondo, they were nice enough to send along a couple of prototypes here to the Ghostbusters News headquarters, including the Sandman figure and an array of pack-ins and extras. And before we get too deep into this video, I should send a huge thank you out to Mondo for making today's feature possible. As well, I should make mention that what you're seeing here is still very much a work in progress known as a first shot, and is not at all representative of the final product. There's going to be some improvements made in addition to the obvious paint detail. Now, I am what I would like to consider an action figure connoisseur. However, my fixations are primarily Ghostbusters, so with that said, this is, I think, the very first time I've actually ever had a Mondo figure, albeit a prototype, in hand. And my general feeling with this one is that it does not disappoint. Quality-wise, the plastic feels great, and while the Sandman, given his body type, i.e. that big cloak, may not make him the most toyetic ghost, Mondo has done a phenomenal job here. Articulation-wise, there's some decent range in the arms, elbows, the wrist joints, and I somehow missed this in the promotional photos of the Sandman figure, but taking a look underneath that robe, he's got his little feet there with sandals. And as an added bonus, you do not have to worry about him falling over as that big cloak. It does double as a perfect base, even though that online listing, it does state that the final figure, it's going to include a stand. And I know my fixation of this figure, it kind of went right towards the cloak because that's the sizable portion of the Sandman, but there is no way that we cannot touch on the face sculpt. As sculptor Alex Brewer of Mondo, he has done a fantastic job at taking the Sandman, the 2D character, and bringing him into 3D, into action figure form. Those beady little eyes, the upturned nose, that sinister grin, all those little teeth. I mean, there is so much detail here, and this thing isn't even painted yet. And adding to that, just like all the other big bad ghosts thus far released in Mondo's Real Ghostbusters collector's packs, well, Sandman, he does have an alternate head. And this one looks just as good, swapping out that sinister smile for, I don't know, maybe a look of disgust, maybe anger. And to swap out these heads, it is so easy to do so, that just pops right off. Meaning for the other one, just put a little bit of pressure and there we go. And once on there, I mean, the head is secure. You can see here it like holds up all the weight of that body. It moves left to right there. You get a little bit of front and back. And given that we have already taken a look at that alternate head, let's now fixate on some of the additional pack-ins and accessories. And there's a lot here that for the most part are exclusive to the Real Ghostbusters Collector's Pack. This includes swappable hands, his sand straw and sand bag. And then there's this, which is a pretty deep cut, and this is included with both the individual Winston release as well as the collector's pack. And Mondo, they have it listed as a journal, but it is the Real Ghostbusters animated rendition of Tobin's Spirit Guide. Again, such a deep cut, and very much like the Sandman, it's a prototype, so unpainted, but judging by the promotional photos, it's going to make for a great display item. And in speaking about display, Mondo, they also sent along Winston's Ghost Trap with the swappable trap cartridge containing a mini Sandman. And I just want to throw this out here. I've been collecting Ghostbusters figures for pretty much my entire life. Like, my first memory is actually receiving a Real Ghostbusters action figure. And I cannot believe it has taken this long for a company to tackle this idea in such a way. And what I mean by that is this pretty much looks identical to what you see in the real Ghostbusters cartoon show. The sculpting detail is great. I love the expression on the Sandman's face, as well as the softer plastic that's been used for the capture effect. Also, given that we are looking at the ghost trap, I assume that the main body here is pretty much a finished piece. So I'm gonna add, I love the kind of wire Mondo has used here, as it works perfectly no matter how you want to display. Either all wrapped around itself, more so when the trap is stationary, or fully extended when there's a ghost to bust. Which now brings us to the pack-in ghoul, and this is included with either the individual Winston or the collector's pack, Charles Foster Hurse, who comes mounted atop his sleigh, Rosebud. And despite being a smaller scale companion ghost, the same amount of care that we saw with Sandman, it's here with Hurse. Yes, articulation with this little guy, it's not really anything to write home about, but it really shouldn't be. All he's got are two little arms, which simply move up and down. It's simple, effective, and it works. And very much like that RGB Tobin Spirit Guide, this character is such a deep cut. Like, I cannot believe it is 2025 and we are now getting a Charles Foster Hurse action figure. Now, one thing I would like to do before we finish this one off, I made mention to it earlier because of the Sandman's massive size, and I mean, you can see it right here with the Sandman in my hands. He is a big action figure, so let's go ahead and do a size comparison. We got the Mondo prototypes on the end, and in the middle there, the Kenner Classics Winston Zeddemore figure from Hasbro. Regarding sizing, Sandman clocks in at 8.5 inches, while Foster is 3.5. If you would like to trap Mondo's The Real Ghostbusters Winston and Sandman Collector's Pack, time is running out, with pre-orders closing this Thursday, July 17th at 11:59 a.m. Central. And you can pre-order from mondoshop.com. We do have that direct link down below in the description. And with that said, that's all I've got for you for this one. As always, subscribe. If you'd like to join up with Ghostbusters News, check out our Patreon page. A link to that is also down below. And we'll see you right back here next time.